Ooh.
Love it.
I'm Hannah.
And I'm Tiffany.
And welcome to Witchy Weirdos.
Ooh, so excited. Today we have something a bit random, but creepy police officer stories.
Yeah.
Yes.
This was inspired by a story that you heard?
Yeah, so if any of you have listened to the podcast before, you've probably heard our random roasts for my partner, who's a police officer. And he has told me many creepy stories, to be honest. Some that are creepy in a paranormal way, some are creepy in like a people are terrifying way. But yeah, he has no shortage of them. But the one that kind of inspired this wasn't his story, but it was something he heard about very recently. So a few days ago, I'm just going to dive straight in.
Yes, go for it.
So a few nights ago, he was on a night shift, and he was crewed with this one woman. I won't name her, but
let's keep things like anonymous.
Exactly. But they drove past a hotel, and she recognised it. And she told Josh that when she was younger, it wasn't a hotel. It was like this massive abandoned building. And when she went there was a room in like the top right corner of the building that like everyone said was haunted. And like it was just like one of those things when you're a kid, like it was like a bit of an urban legend. Like you're like, that room's haunted. And it was very much like people would dare each other to go in there, but they'd always be like terrified, and there were loads of tales about it and stuff. And so she told Josh this whole thing. And then basically what happened was, this happened when she was a child, and then years later this woman becomes a police officer, and one day she is called to a job at that hotel. So she turns up and she's like, I recognize this building. I don't know where, but I recognize this building. And then she goes inside and she realizes what the building was, speaks to the staff, and like she finishes her job, and then she's just talking to some of the staff, and she was like, I knew this place when it was abandoned, and there was that room in the corner, and everyone used to say it was creepy, and she was like joking about it. The staff were like, are you serious? Because we don't go in that room.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and apparently they don't even book people into that room unless there's no other choice.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so apparently if staff go in and like try to clean it, they'll hear noises, and a lot of the time they get locked in.
That is horrendous.
Yeah. And this was just like, they're like, Josh's on a night shift with this woman, and she's like, yeah, telling him this story, and he's like, okay.
Oh my god, that's giving me such chills. I would absolutely love it if someone was just like next to me at work telling me this story.
I know. I was like, that was just mad. And so yeah, Josh told me that, and then I went on like this rabbit hole, and like I just found so many creepy police stories. I like went on Reddit, I found a whole bunch of them, and I found this other one that's like kind of true crime, kind of policey, kind of paranormal based. Like there's like a memoir about it, but also a book.
Oh my god.
And, like, there's also a movie that's like loosely based on. I was like, wow, this is mad.
Is crazy.
Yeah. So I'm excited. I might just dive into that one if that's all right.
Yes. Oh my god, go for it.
I'm like monopolizing this already, but like I have.
Do it.
I'm just so excited.
I've got lots of little short ones, so
cool.
I think this is a good way to go.
I like it. After this, I've got like a whole bunch of little ones that I found on Reddit that I was like, ew, gross.
Just ew.
I know. So this one that I found, I don't know if you've seen this horror movie. It's called Deliver Us from Evil.
I have not.
Okay, so the actual movie is about a police officer that attends these different crimes and slowly figures out that they're all related, and some paranormal things start happening to him. It ends up in a massive exorcism, and it's crazy. And right at the start it says based on like a true story. And so I looked into it, and basically the actual story itself is from a guy called Ralph Sarchi, and it's from his Beware the Night memoir. And it's basically filled with true stories about his work as a demonologist.
Oh my god.
Now how that ties into the police is that Sarchi was actually an NYPD sergeant. And he has a lot of cases that he swore were paranormal in nature, but kind of manifested themselves in crimes. And what I mean by that is like people becoming possessed and doing things that the police would be called to.
That is so crazy.
Yeah, so like people like calling the police because their partner like has gone insane, is like scratching at the floor and like attacking them and stuff, only for the police to literally encounter a demon. And a lot of the time, in a lot of his cases, he talks about how other officers dismissed some cases as mental illness, but he, as a religious man, was like, no, there's something wrong here. And so, yeah, there's a movie called Deliver Us from Evil, and it's very loosely based on Saatchi's memoir. And I say very loosely in that, like, the plot for the movie is entirely fictitious. It's just that the character that represents Saatchi is accurate. So he's like this police officer turned demonologist that helps the police officer in the movie, like, perform an exorcism and stuff.
Ooh.
Yeah, really interesting. But like, some of the stories from his memoir are terrifying. I was reading some of them and I was like, I cannot do this. But I'll say, like, he doesn't offer much in the way of actual logic. Like, he doesn't at any point sort of question his own logic. But apparently when you really read the whole thing, you can tell, like, he really believes what he's saying.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of speaks for itself. But basically, I'll talk about the first story that's in his memoir, and it's called The Halloween Horror. And it's the story of Dominic and Gabby Villanova. Yeah, okay. Villanova. And they claimed they'd been plagued by a demon. So one autumn, when Gabby said she saw a woman standing outside in, like, a cloud of white smoke, she, like, freaked out massively, obviously, but no one else could see her. Then Dominic says that she began speaking through his wife. So his wife sees this woman in, like, a cloud of smoke, and then Dominic says, like, there's sort of, like, possessing her and speaking through her. Eventually, Gabby's friend Ruth, like, comes into the story somehow, and she has apparently this, like, very elaborate tale that was apparently cooked up by a demon about about I know, when I was like, wow, okay, interesting. But apparently it's about a woman who was murdered on her wedding night, and whose fiance was, like, falsely accused of the crime.
Oh my god.
And in the days that followed that, there was more weird stuff. Like, Gabby said that she saw the ghost of her father, and her 5-year-old apparently, like, echoes that and says that's true. And then the claims just go on and on. Basically, like, this whole thing just, like, sort of descended into madness, and, like, everyone around them started to feel all of these things. And it said, like, books were flying off walls, there were moans and growls from the basement, the word help was written backwards on the bathroom mirror. In one really nasty bit, Saatchi interprets this, like, description of, like, a furry looking creature as a demon, and it's an incubus. And basically it had, like, a whole intent on raping Gabby's daughter Luciana.
Oh,
I know. And when Gabby eventually became possessed by that demon, while Saatchi and his, like, partner from work were in the residence, he said that he was in the presence of one of hell's most dangerous devils, and said that he, quote, relied on the name of Jesus Christ to draw it out again. And so that was, like, the first thing that he, like, swears it's absolutely true this happened. Like, he was called to, like, all of these things with this family, like, all of these crimes basically, and it just ended up being an actual demon.
Oh my god.
And then he released a documentary. It was quite brief, but apparently it shows some of his exorcisms. And there was one in 1992 with a woman, and she's, like, strapped to a chair, and she's, like, screaming and spitting on the people around her. And apparently it's, like, super upsetting and, like, really, like, insane. And anyone that watches it says, like, I can't even explain this. It's mad.
That is terrifying.
Yeah, so he was an NYPD sergeant, and he has a whole memoir of, like, terrifying things that happened. But he basically sort of, like, turned into a demonologist.
Like, because natural progression of a career path.
Exactly, NYPD sergeant, demonologist. But definitely, like, look into it. It's weird.
It sounds so, like, I didn't even know, like,
I know,
beyond creepy.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Woo. There's a super light note for you. I'll stop talking for a bit so you can recover from that.
Mine's, like, gonna go down a dark route as well, so
I like it.
Of course it is. Like, this whole podcast is just going down dark routes. So I have focused more on police buildings than police officers.
Oh.
So these are more haunted buildings, but they have all got the dark history of being police stations.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got a couple, and I found these all from an article called, where is it?
Mm-hmm.
History Notebook 64, the Essex Police Museum, the supposedly haunted police stations of Essex, by Daniel Sigeth. And I'm basically going to have this article up because there are massive, long, direct quotes of what people have said, and I could not be bothered to copy them out, in all honesty.
Okay.
So I've got my notes of what happened, and then I will link in with my direct quotes.
Mm-hmm.
So the first police station we're going to talk about is, oh no, it's another name that I'm not going to say right. Canberra Island Police Station. So this gets dark very quickly. But basically, on the 31st of January 1953, there was one of Britain's worst natural disasters, which unfolded along the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically there was a weather phenomena which ripped down the Northern Sea. So it travelled down the Northern Sea, and Canberra Island was one of the worst places that was hit.
Mm-hmm.
And so when this natural disaster hit this area, 59 people ended up losing their lives. And
Yikes.
It was said that the police station actually ended up having to be a temporary morgue during that time because they didn't have enough space to contain the bodies. So I think it's quite like a small town. So like they didn't have it all in place.
Yeah.
So this police station is said to have kind of quite a lot of generic sort of hauntings. So there's examples of footsteps and voices.
Mm-hmm.
So one direct quote comes from it doesn't say who this has come from. Oh, it's from a police constable who was located there in the 1990s. So 40 years on from this disaster. And it says, I was alone in the station when I heard footsteps running backwards and forwards across the floor downstairs. I thought someone had come in and thought nothing initially of it, until about 30 minutes later when the cars came back in. I questioned my colleagues about the running around. They told me that they hadn't been there and they'd been busy on the job. So, of course, footsteps with unexplained places. So there is multiple reports of footsteps and doors opening and closing and creepy feelings and cold spots. And another example is that there is a certain kind of cold spot and creepy feeling with one of the staircases in this police station.
Oh my god.
So my next little story states that I worked at Canberra Island Station for a number of years, and everybody who worked there used to say that the staircase at the kitchen end of the station was haunted, as it always was cold no matter what time of year it was or how hot it was outside. Some people would always avoid using the staircase because they found it creepy. The rumour is that in the floods of 1953, police kept dead bodies at the end of the station as the flood water kept us from taking them to the mortuary until the water went down. Oh. So it is thought that this eerie feeling is due to the fact that that is where the bodies were stored. Oh. It is, however, stated that there is actually like no proper evidence of this place being a morgue, but I think that, you know, it is actually probably very likely.
Yeah.
In a time like that, and during such like a chaotic natural disaster, you just do what you can do.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's probably quite a bit of truth behind it. But yes, pretty creepy.
I like it though. Very good find.
Thank you.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, it's on the odd side, I think, because it's not necessarily something you'd associate like with a police station, like the hauntings being because of a morgue. But yeah,
it's eerie though. Like super, super eerie.
Yeah.
Wow, I like it. I have a whole bunch of like small Reddit stories now, which I'm really excited about.
Yeah, should we just take it like on and off on turn?
Hell yeah.
Okay,
I'm so excited. Okay, this one is about a theme park.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to read it as it is. So it's going to sound first person, but I'm just reading as it is. So this one, I was working I was working an off-duty job at a local theme park. It was an overnight, so the park was completely closed with no one around besides the occasional cleaner or painter. I usually just sit in my patrol car on my laptop, but when I get sleepy or need to stretch my legs, I get out and go for a walk around the empty park. Let me tell you, amusement parks are really creepy when they're empty at night.
Oh my God, I bet.
But I get used to it. On this particular night, I was doing my normal walk on my phone, probably on Twitter, when I look up and see a lady who appeared to be in her 60s, nonchalantly sitting at a table in one of the restaurants that was closed. Like, just sitting there in the dark.
Oh my God.
This really confused the hell out of me, and she was not dressed like an employee. I tapped on the window, and she turned her head and stared straight at me. I asked loudly what she was doing, and she just turned her head back away from me and ignored me. I tried to open the door, and it was locked. I called on the radio for park security to come over there and confirm that if this lady was supposed to be there, while I walked back to my car to get the set of keys I kept there. As I walk back to the front of the restaurant, 2 security guards are walking up at the same time as me. One of them peers in the window and asks, "Somebody was in there?" I look, and the lady is no longer at the table.
Oh.
We get it open and search every crevice of the place, and there was not a soul in there. You can say I was a little freaked out. We went back and checked the exterior cameras, and nobody entered or exited. To this day, it creeps me out, and I can't explain it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah.
That's,
I know.
Yeah, thinking about it at a theme park is slightly terrifying.
I can just imagine it's pitch black. You're just patrolling. You look in. There's a woman sat there. You knock, and she stares right at you, and then looks away. Like, that's so creepy.
Horrendous. I wonder, like, whether that's like some residual energy or something, like someone that, like, that used to be like a cafe or something before it was a theme park. Like,
that just made my skin crawl. So creepy.
Oh God. Okay. So my next police station is Fort Le Soken, because apparently nothing can be named easy.
Nope.
So this is actually one of the oldest buildings in Essex, in the Essex Police Estate specifically. And this building was built in the 1840s, so it is quite old. And because of how it was built and what it was kind of, how they used it at the time, these cells actually contain servant bells still.
Oh, right.
And these cells are now like protected, kind of like what's the word? Like when you look after something old, like an older building. I can't think what that word is.
I do know what you mean.
But yeah, so they're kind of like looked after and maintained.
Mm-hmm.
And it's said that within this building, the most common phenomena, which is incredibly well documented, is the cell doors banging and the bells ringing. But there's kind of no story behind why this happens. There's not like a specific tale that features ringing or anything like that. But it is incredibly well documented.
Yeah.
So I have a couple of examples here.
Ooh.
So one evening at about 11:30, the bells in the cell started ringing. I thought someone had come in and was winding me up, but there was no one in the station at all apart from me. The bell cord is situated in the cells, which were locked up, and you have to be in the cell in order to ring it.
Oh.
This happened 3 times in the space of 5 minutes.
Oh.
So it's quite like an substantial evidence, because you can't, like, they couldn't be rang otherwise.
Yeah.
Like, equally creepy. So the next story.
Ooh.
I was the only one there and was moving throughout the building checking the fire alarms. There was a very loud bang in the front office area near the cells. It felt like a door slam, but there was no breeze or anyone around. It was possibly from outside, but my hearing aids picked up echoes, meaning that it was inside. So I went to check the buildings to see if any windows were left open. None were open and nothing had been knocked to the floor, and there was nobody around and no cars in the car park. My heart started to race and I left immediately. It was definitely from the inside.
Oh my God.
I will not go there after dark now.
Yeah, smart. Don't. Oof.
And then I just like this from a retired police officer. This just makes me laugh because this sounds so English. I don't believe in ghosts or anything like that normally, but Fort Le Soken is definitely haunted. Which is just the most British way of handling things.
It really is. It really, really is. don't believe in ghosts, but that place is weird.
I'll make an exception for that one.
That sounds literally like every guy I know.
Oh my god, yeah.
I like it. You're finding some good ones.
I'm like chuffed. This is all just one big article about like Essex police stations.
Oh my god, maybe
like,
we
how
just
random.
need to go to Essex and get arrested.
I don't know why there's like so many police stations in like the county of Essex as well, like haunted police stations.
Weird.
Like I've still got 2 more, and like that's not it for the list on the that I'd found. I just thought that was enough stories.
Oh my god. Wow. I like it.
Back to you and Reddit.
Back to me. This one's quite small as well. So as a rookie, I was responding to an alarm at a restaurant that was supposed to be haunted by a woman. The first officer that arrived was an older officer that didn't do much and didn't ever get excited on the radio. As soon as he arrived, he asked for a second unit in a high-pitched tone. As I pulled in, he had a shotgun out and he was leaned up over his hood. My first thought was, oh shit, someone's breaking in. When I ran up to him and asked what was up, all he said was that he pulled up and his lights hit the building and a woman jumped off the roof and disappeared.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he was clearly in shock. Me and another officer checked the building and found no evidence that someone had been there, but it definitely made an impression on me, and I never want to go back to that restaurant at night without another officer.
Oh Christ.
It's so small, but like, imagine turning up.
That must be absolutely horrific.
It's just that sentence. Where is it? So all he said as he pulled up was that his lights hit the building and the woman jumped off the roof and disappeared. Jumped off the roof and disappeared.
I'm kind of imagining a bit of like a Batman jump at the moment though.
Yeah, no, I do know what you mean. I was kind of imagining an Olympic dive.
I love that.
But
yeah, that must be absolutely horrific. Like your brain must not go to, that's a ghost. It must go to, oh my god, I've just seen someone commit suicide. Like,
exactly. But then if you also see them disappear, like I kind of understand his reaction, because he's probably like, what do I do? I guess I just get out my gun.
I'm not sure why the gun is like the appropriate weapon of choice here.
I think he's probably just like scared, and that's like as a police officer in the US, that's your like defense, right?
Your reflex, which probably like is very concerning.
Yeah, it is.
We won't go down that route today, though.
No, let's not. That's a discussion for another time. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So my next police station is Colchester Police Station.
Colchester.
Yeah. So what's really interesting about this police station is that it's actually near one of the original Roman walls of Colchester. So it has some creepy ghost stories, and these creepy ghost stories like link back to Romans. So
I love it.
I love that. So one of the interesting like apparitions that's said to haunt Colchester Police Station is actually a monk. Of all things.
A monk?
A monk.
No way.
So there are many reports of a monk, and often this is like consistently matched with the monk being seen around the staircase which leads to the custody suites.
Okay.
And they've tried to get rid of this ghost numerous times.
Really?
So, you know,
my
the
God.
monk's staying around.
He's stubborn.
So the first story I've got about the monk is, my father was based at the quote-unquote the new Colchester police station around 20 years ago, having transferred from Grays. He relayed to me that many of the officers didn't like the stairs down into the custody suite, and they used to go through in quite a hurry because of the monk. My dad is one of those seen it all, done it all people who thought it was quite amusing. One evening he stayed late, especially to nick one of his regulars who worked during the day. Having sorted out the paperwork in his office, he made his way down to the custody via the stairs. Just as he took his first step down, all the lights went off.
Ooh.
The temperature plummeted, and in the very poor light, he saw what he can only describe as a hooded figure which appeared to be floating near the bottom of the stairs. My dad, being my dad, just said out loud, "Stop messing me around and put the bloody lights on." At which point, the figure faded and the lights indeed blinked on.
No way!
Again, like such a stereotypical British male.
That is so true, yeah.
And so another example of the monk is, one evening I was working late It was dark, and I went to walk from the front of the building to the back, where the car park is situated, when I saw this monk floating over the stairs and moving down. The lights went off and then on again as I walked along the passage to the next set of stairs, and the ghost appeared on the stairs again at the rear of the building. It moved down under the stairs as I went up into the car park. I used to work in the same office as an officer who saw this and called a vicar in to try and get rid of the ghost, but I hear people still see it to this day. They really want to get rid of this monk. They're determined this monk is going.
Oh, but that monk is just so not listening.
No, the monk is there to stay.
Oh my god.
The other apparition, and I can't decide which one of these is creepier.
Okay.
But the other apparition is a Roman centurion.
Okay.
So the outdoor rest area kind of within this police station is actually built over a Roman graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
So if we know anything, it's that you don't build on top of graveyards. Like, come on, guys.
Come on, Luke, just apply a little bit of logic.
And I've kind of thought that, and because it's built right next to this Roman wall, there is kind of the thought that maybe the work to build up this police station disturbed some Roman ghosts.
Yeah.
Especially if you are on top of the gravesite. I mean, it's common sense.
Yeah.
So, the story about this Roman ghost. One night when I was working as the custodian, all these words, custody sergeant, my detention officer asked if he could go upstairs to use a computer in one of the offices on the first floor to type up some reports, to which I agreed. Approximately half an hour later, he came flying back into the custody, almost taking the entrance door to the custody area off its hinges. He was white and sweating profusely. I asked him what was wrong, and he told me he had just seen a ghost. He explained he was typing on his computer when something caught his eye further down the office. He looked up to see a figure in white walk across the office and disappear around a corner. He did not recognise the person, so he got up and walked to where he had seen them go, only to realise that it was a dead end with no doors to exit the office. There was no trace of the person he had seen. He realised at that point he must have seen a ghost, giving him such a fright.
Oh, I feel sick.
So that is Colchester Police Station, haunted by a variety of ghostly figures.
Wow, the spice of life here at Colchester.
I know, look at them getting everything going on.
Oh my god, that is creepy. The monk just seems kind of playful, I'm not gonna lie.
But also, like, the idea of a monk floating by the bottom of the stairs, like, gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah, we've had some other podcasts where we've talked about monks. I feel like they just are very unrested.
Yeah, I don't see why. Like, surely they should be the ones that aren't coming back, like...
Yeah, they search for enlightenment in their minds. So...
Can you imagine if you spent your whole life being a monk, only to then be, like, stuck on this plane for eternity?
I'd be like,
what a waste of my life.
Deal. Yeah. You'd be so annoyed.
Like, these poor old monks. I think if I ever see a ghost monk, I'm just going to feel so sorry for them.
Yeah, so I'm going to be like, oh, do you know what? Fair that you're angry.
It's completely justified.
Okay, I'm going to take us down a disgusting route.
Oh, God.
It's short again, but this one just, like, got me.
Oh, I'm scared.
So... About 2 years ago, we had to admit a man to a mental health unit. This was because he'd called the police to report an intruder in his apartment. Very normal so far.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, apart from the premise that, you know, he's been sent to a mental health unit. When they arrived, they found him high as a kite. I forget the specific drug. His apartment was filled with headless dolls strung around the room with barbed wire, some covered in his semen.
Oh my God.
In the kitchen, a pot was boiling on the stove, filled with the heads of the dolls. When they asked him to explain what he was doing, he just said he was opening the seal and nothing else.
Oh my God, that makes me want to throw up.
I know.
That sounds like some proper voodoo-y-esque stuff.
Yeah, I know. He stayed on the unit for a few days and was perfectly normal. I never would have guessed he had such a strange story if I hadn't heard it myself.
Oh my God. Ugh.
Yeah. I'm opening the seal.
That's just, no.
Dolls, barbed wire. No.
Just everything
creepy.
about that is very out of a horror movie, I swear.
I know. Disgusting.
Oh man, that's a little roller coaster for such a short story. Like, oh my god.
I know, I told you it was short, but like it was something, yeah.
Yeah, that is an intense little situation. I would not like to be the person who like turned up to that scene.
Imagine they're just looking and they're like, what is on that doll? Oh, it's semen.
And you'd be like, oh, great, my day couldn't have got any better than this.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard about some very gross places from my partner, but luckily he hasn't been to anything like that.
My god. You'd need to proper like stage him if that was the case.
If he came home and told me that, I'd be like, you're going outside until I can sage you and sage this entire place.
Yeah, everything needs to go. We do not want the bad juju.
I was like, I don't care what seal he opened, but it is closed here.
Yeah, it's not coming home with you.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Okay, so for my last police station, in a little bit more of a normal story now, I'm going to talk about, oh my god, the names of these places. Billericay Police Station.
Ooh.
So Billericay Police Station is known to have a lot of hauntings from a specific source.
Okay.
So it's quite tragic. So George Manning was the Essex County Constable between 1946 and 1976. And he rose to chief inspector, and he worked in the police in this building for 15 years. So in November of 1976, his life was tragically cut short when he was involved in a road accident. And the kind of ironic thing was he was travelling to the scene of another road accident, and he actually ended up passing away on Boxing Day. So he was kind of in hospital for about a month before his injuries succumbed him.
Yeah.
So it is said that George Manning kind of haunts this police station, and it doesn't sound particularly like he's a malicious spirit, just kind of like a residual, this is where he was the majority of life, kind of like this is where he resignated.
Okay.
So it's said that stationery will move on its own. There'll be sudden drops in temperature, and you will hear doors closing and footsteps. So kind of your run-of-the-mill haunting stuff.
Okay, yeah.
So I've got a couple of experiences from this police station. So let's go.
Ooh.
So apparently, Billericay is a strange place to work. It's freezing cold at one end of the building. Footsteps will come up the stairs when you're in the report room or the kitchen, but then nobody will appear. And they'll be banging and crashing in the end of the corridor. It is not a place to be on your own, that's for sure.
Ooh.
I'm not certain the exact story, but I'm sure it's an inspector or chief inspector who either died very shortly before he was due to retire or very soon afterwards. Oh yeah, he was due to retire. He was going to be leaving the force. The accident that he attended was one of the, would have been one of his last kind of scenes. So, the next story. I've experienced 2 incidents at this police station, which were particularly eerie, and I'm sure there will be other officers who have similar stories. One incident was where vehicle keys were placed securely on a hook on the wall, and they appeared to jump off the hook.
Jump off the hook.
Jump off the hook. Good. There is no way they could have fallen, and there was only me and another colleague in the office at the other end of the building. No one had used the keys that evening.
Oh my god.
The second incident was when there were 3 of us in the building upstairs, and we heard what sounded like the downstairs airlock door opening, then slamming and footsteps.
Oh god.
We were confused as no one else should have been in the building, so we went down one set of stairs to investigate. There was then the sound of running footsteps along the corridor to the other set of stairs. And then it says in brackets, we even had our cuffs out thinking there was an intruder.
Oh my god.
And we followed the sound to the other stairs. There was no one there, and the last sound we heard were footsteps overhead in the loft area. The building was searched and not a single other person was there.
Oh
I am sceptical, but the building gives you shivers just down your spine, and I would never be there alone. As far as the story goes, it is apparently haunted by an ex-police chief inspector who was killed on his last day of duty before retirement. His name was George Manning.
Oh my god!
And so, another story. Various staff have mentioned strange feelings of being not alone when they were alone in the building. It's a large building, essentially 2 buildings put together, so it runs from left to right with a long corridor. One night, some years ago, about 4 years ago, I was finishing a shift. It was about 2 a.m. and I was sitting at a computer finishing up. I was, to my knowledge, the only person in the building.
Mm-hmm.
From upstairs came the sound of doors being closed, a definite clunk closure sound. This was a little disconcerting, but I was tucked away in an office downstairs, and so I had to go upstairs to put my kit away. Needless to say, it felt very odd, like there was somebody in a nearby room. I hurried out and went home rapidly. I wasn't the only person to have heard this. Other staff also reported a series of doors opening and closing too. And the last little quote on here just says, anytime something goes missing or something happens that can't easily be explained, George got the blame. A colleague of mine has been filing in the old cell block and heard loud tapping noises, which George has also been blamed for. So poor little George Manning is getting blamed for all of these shenanigans.
This man's was just trying to retire.
I know, and it does sound very much like he's like still living like his work life.
Yeah,
you know, like
that's
stationery and doors closing, like.
Yeah, it's very like you said before, like residual energy.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like this is kind of him just continuing on doing what he was passionate about.
Wow. I mean, like, it's creepy, but also it's so interesting.
And it's kind of nice in a way. Like, he's recognised, he's acknowledged. We'll take it. It's not the most terrifying or sad story. It's kind of just like a kind of calming story.
Oh, well, prepare yourself.
Is it going to get worse?
It's going to get a lot worse. I've got 3 more.
Okay, hit me with them.
And they're all a little bit different. But this first one's very interesting. It's not ghosty, but but I'll just go.
Okay.
My girlfriend's grandfather used to be a detective, and he tells a pretty terrifying story. When he was still pretty young, he got a call to an apartment building because a monster was trying to get into someone's apartment. Monster in quotes, yeah. The caller said that they had heard a gunshot, and then a while later, something was pounding on their door. When they opened it, a monster was standing there and tried to get into their apartment. They kicked it out and slammed the door. The caller also said, yeah, I know, imagine, you're just like, nah, mate.
Let me just kick out this monster that's standing in my doorway.
I know. The caller also said that they had heard more screams from down the hall, so the monster may have been trying to get to other people. When my girlfriend's grandfather got to the building, he found a man shambling around inside, covered in blood. He got the guy turned around and realised that he had found his monster. The guy had attempted to commit suicide by pulling a gun under his chin and firing upwards.
Oh my god.
However, he'd screwed up the angle and blown off his jaw and part of his nose, but he was still alive and in extreme shock. He had been walking around the building, knocking on doors, trying to get someone to help him, but his grisly visage had terrified everyone, so they kept slamming the door in his face.
Oh my god.
I know.
I have no other words. That is horrific.
I know. Can you imagine coming,
God.
Imagine that was your night. Imagine that. I can't.
That's just horrible for everyone involved.
Literally everyone. Imagine when you find out as well. You were just you're calling this person a monster and they literally needed your help.
Yeah. Oh my god, you must have so much guilt.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, you know what? If someone was covered in blood and I thought they looked like a monster, I wouldn't let them into my house.
That's the thing. If someone knocked on my door and, like you say, was covered in blood, I would absolutely call an ambulance and I would call the police, but I don't think I would answer the door.
No, I don't think I'd let them in. There's way too many examples of people, faking illnesses and stuff to get entry into people's houses. I've
even seen loads of stuff about, hearing I've heard stories about women that live alone and people playing the sound of a baby crying outside.
Oh my god, see, that's the thing that would get me.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Or like they've had like women run up to the door and like pound on the door and be like, I really need help, and people answer the door, but it's like it's a setup. So it's like even if someone comes up to your door like pounding for help, a lot of the time you're advised to not answer the door.
Why does our world have to be so awful? Like,
I know. Like 100% call the police.
Yeah.
But maybe consider if you should answer the door or not.
That's our public service announcement for the day.
PSA, maybe don't answer the door. But
oh my God.
Call the police. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, that's haunted me more than any of these ghosty stories.
I know. I just had to include it because I was like, I have not heard anything like that.
No.
Yeah. Okay. My partner and I get a call for a welfare check. An ex-boyfriend called because he received text from his ex stating that she wished it would not have ended and that she could go on no longer without him. We get to the place, knock, pound, etc. on the door, no answer. We call and get an answer and then hang up. So we hear it from outside oh my God, English. English. We hear it from outside the window and we know that she's in there. We say we're going to break the door down if she doesn't answer. We hear a slurred mess of speech. The door unlocks but doesn't open. We open the door to find a young woman, wet, naked, pale as hell, swaying in one spot, hands bleeding. We call an ambulance and she's off to the hospital. Now for the creepy part.
As if that wasn't bad enough.
I know. None of the lights would turn on, so we conduct a safety search and find candles lit in the bedroom and bathroom. On the walls were Bible scriptures written in her blood and a tub of brown water. The brown water, so it's like water mixed with old blood.
Oh my God.
I don't know how she survived because the water was dark. She had been sitting in it for approximately 4 or 5 hours.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So she'd like cut herself open, written Bible scriptures in blood on the walls.
Oh my Lord.
I know. Once again, imagine turning up to that call. Imagine coming home. Imagine your partner coming home and saying this story. I'd be like, you're quitting your job.
Yeah, like.
I'd be like, no.
Oh my God. Again, I don't have the words for this kind of like.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh.
Exactly. Now, this last one is going to be a surprise for both of us.
Okay.
Because I just saw something that was like, crazy as it sounds, I definitely saw a ghost. And so.
Yes, do it.
Okay, so we're going to read it.
Let's react.
I like it. The creepiest thing was when I was walking a beat on a solo foot post late one night. So someone was on their own, just, yeah. This was back in my first year on the job. My partner was on a meal break, so left me by my post by myself for the next hour until he got back. I decided to walk from the north of my post to the south, past a few abandoned lots. As I passed one of them, I thought I saw something at the end of the lot by the fence line. A lot of times, people using or just being vagrants? Tramps, drifters, derelicts, yeah. Okay, will be in these lots. I literally just, like, not Googled, but I just checked the definition of that. What was this? I shined my flashlight on the area, but there was nothing there. I thought, a trick of low lighting in the area. No big deal. As I turned away, the fence on the far side of the lot started rattling and giving that distinctive chain sound. I stopped and looked back. Already thinking of how ridiculous this feels, I put my light on there again. Standing there was a man. He didn't look homeless, nor did he look like the kind of guy that hangs out late in lots at night. I asked him what he was doing. He simply stood there, not really looking at me, but kind of looking above me. I asked again. No answer. I told him to come over here, as he shouldn't be in the lot. He just stood there. I decided to put over the radio before approaching him. Post 4, Central, show me one male, stopped it, blah, 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 X Street. Back lot, no further, no emergency. So I walk into the lot, but have to hop a small fence to get where he's standing. I figure the guy must be tweaking out or something. He looks like he has no idea where he is. I hop the fence and look back up. The motherfucker was gone.
Oh my God.
I took my eyes off him for 2 seconds and he was gone. No sound from the far fence chain, nothing. I scanned the entire lot wondering where this guy went, looking behind any open or real likely cover, a dumpster, anything, and inside of it. He was not there. Central raised me a minute later and asked the status. I had to respond, no crime, corrected, resuming patrol.
Instead of, I just saw a ghost.
Yeah. To this day, I think I saw a ghost, as crazy as it sounds. I've never told anyone about what happened that night. Crazy, crazy stuff. I know there is a chance that maybe he just hopped the fence without me hearing and took off, but the amount of time it took me to hop the 4-foot fence, and the fact that I only took my eyes off of him for 2 seconds and I heard the fence the first time, highly unlikely.
Oh my God. See, the thing that would get me is hopping the 4-foot fence. That's not
you're done there. You'd be like, sorry.
Oh well, stay in the lot.
That would be it for you.
I know. I'd just be like, I'd probably go over it like head first. Then the ghost would have to call an ambulance for me.
The thing is, you're quite clumsy as well, so
it's just not a match made in heaven, really.
It's not. Well, that's all of my
oh my God,
ghost
creepy
stories. I know, I'm glad we did this though.
I know, this is definitely interesting.
Very weird. I'll have to maybe try and convince my partner to give us some creepy stories.
Get some more info out of him, find more creepy stuff. I feel like
definitely
we should just take a moment to throw in, obviously, with everything going on in the world right now, you know, support your Black Lives Matters protests, sign your like your what's it called? I've forgotten.
Like your petitions.
That's the word. You know, do your bit to make sure that everybody is safe when needing the police.
Absolutely. I know, and I mean, it's a very difficult time, and you know, like my partner's in the police. We've been having a lot of difficult conversations about what we both think about the situation. We've been signing petitions, getting things done.
I think it's important to think of on both sides of the argument, isn't it? Like, obviously, Black Lives Matters is the priority here, but also there are police out there who do incredibly wonderful things and protect people.
Yeah, exactly. And
we'll take this little creepy moment just to say, get your petitions signed, donate some money, do your bit.
Exactly. Do your bit, educate yourself, and look after everyone. Okay, look after the people protesting, look after the people that are trying to keep you safe while you're protesting.
Just love everyone. That's the message we've got here.
Just don't be a dick.
Yeah, that's probably the better message. There are 2 coins here.
With very different approaches, but I like that it's the same destination.
That is the important thing in this world.
Exactly. But next week, we'll probably have something equally creepy and disturbing, but just definitely remember the monster that wasn't a monster, that was just a guy.
That is going to be like my nightmare for the week.
I think it might be for me too, so I'm going to sign off before
we go down that
talk about it a bit too much. Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll see you all next week.
Yes, we will see you again very soon.
Bye.